House Targaryen is divided, but House Hightower is also divided. Hey YouTube, welcome back to We Sibs, West Coast, East Coast Siblings, where we review your favorite movies and TV shows. And tonight, we are covering House of the Dragon episode 9. This is the last episode before the season finale. Let me know what you guys think of the show so far. Let's dive right into it. Viserys is dead! Dun dun dun! So this episode begins with the death. Actually, last week's episode ended with his death. This week's episode starts with his death. We want you to really know that Viserys is dead. Viserys, thinking he's speaking to Rhaenyra, whispers words that don't really make any sense to Alicent, but she picks out the ones she wants to hear, like Aegon, the chosen one, king, and she says that is his dying wish, for my son to be king. And so, Alicent runs and tells her daddy. Council is called and all of the king's advisors meet in a room to discuss what will happen. Apparently, Otto has been planning on this from the beginning, to Alicent's surprise. Otto tells Alicent, listen, we need to kill Rhaenyra, and we need to kill Daemon, and we need to kill all their heirs now. Alicent is horrified and shocked and will not do this. Beesbury, the man who's been sleeping through all of these council meetings, stands up and says, I will not betray the king. We have no evidence that he changed his mind other than Alicent's claim, and she stands to gain from it. Now, Sir Kristin loses his dang mind and decides he's gonna sit Burberry down and kills him. Quite violent. And in my mind, I'm like, oh snap. The war has begun. Otto won't let anyone leave the room despite Beesbury's dead body on the table. We need to make this decision first, and then we can leave the room. The beginning of many nefarious acts that Otto enacts in this episode. The head of the King's Guard, I don't know what his name is, but I've always liked Homeboy. He rips off his cape and says, I will not be a part of this! After the head of the King's Guard leaves, everyone agrees that they will put Aegon on the throne, and I would say Otto, at any means necessary, will put Aegon on the throne. And so the race begins for Alicent and Otto to find Aegon, who is not where he should be, at home in bed with his wife, who is his sister. How did I miss that? They've also locked Rhaenys in her room, much to her frustration. She has no idea what's going on yet. Otto sends out 2 twins, who are 90 people. One of them is Aegon's regular guard, and the other one is his brother. Alicent sends out her secret lover, I'm gonna say, Sir Kristin, as well as Eamon. Otto gathers all of the other houses, locks them in the throne room, stands in front of the Iron Throne, and demands their loyalty to Aegon. After an intense amount of pressure, all of the houses bow, except for one of them tries to leave the castle and warn Rhaenyra. However, Larys finds him, and they kill him. On the hunt for Aegon, Eamon tells Kristin what a kind of sick, twisted person Aegon is. We see throughout this episode that he has a bastard child that he's locked in a cage in some underground child fighting ring where they file the children's nails and teeth down to make them more vicious. This was his favorite place to hang out. One of the heavy themes in this episode is that Aegon is a terrible king, selfish, disgusting monster, and Eamon, who's probably also just as selfish and vicious. However, he wants the responsibility of the crown. But, much like Daemon as a second son, he will likely never get it, unless his brother abdicates or dies. We finally circle back to Larys being an absolute creeper. He pledges his allegiance to Otto, saying that he will spy on Alicent for Otto. Alicent bursts into Rhaenys' room, begs her for her allegiance to House Winchester? That's the wrong show. Hightower. Rhaenys, an old pro at this game at this point, is like, oh, I see. Viserys is dead, and you're gonna snatch the throne. But how about this? I was the true heir to the Iron Throne, and I let it go. Whatever. But don't act like you didn't ever want to be on that throne either. Alicent is horrified. How could anyone say or think that about her? But she leaves the room and doesn't combat it. As Alicent and Otto's spies scour the city for Aegon, we learn the White Worm, who is the prostitute that Daemon was sleeping with way back when, has organized all of these little spies together, much like a Littlefinger. She has kidnapped Aegon and is keeping him hostage because she wants Otto, or someone in power, to save these children in these sick fighting rings. She also says, I want you to remember that it's me who put Aegon on the throne. I gave him to you. It was just like a bit of a weak play. Oh, I'm gonna hold him, but I'm gonna give him to you if you give me what I want. And I guess that's how you play chess. I was not as impressed. I also wonder if the White Worm is Larys. Manipulating her? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Kristin and Eamon intercept Otto's twins, Eric and Eric, on their way back to the castle with Aegon, and they get into a scuffle. One of the twins, I don't remember which one, decides to not engage throughout this episode. His suspicions are confirmed that Aegon is not a good man. During the scuffle, Aegon tells Eamon, listen, if you let me run away on the ship, I will leave and you can be the king. Now this is the most wonderful promise that Eamon has ever heard. He wants to be the king. Kristin and Eamon win the scuffle and bring Aegon back to Alicent. Alicent finally confronts her father and says, listen, I have Aegon. We are going to do this my way. I'm going to tell Rhaenyra what has happened. I will not let her leave Dragonstone, and we will put Aegon on the throne. Otto is like, okay, yeah, sure. He is not a fool. If Rhaenyra is alive, she will build an army, and she will take Aegon and all them Hightowers out. Alicent also tells Otto that her son will be a Targaryen king. And I'm like, was Otto thinking that Aegon would sit on the throne as a Hightower? That seems like a really bold claim, especially because Viserys is his biological father. The disturbing nature of Alicent and Larys' relationship is revealed in this episode when we see Alicent slowly reveal her angles to Larys for more information. Then we see Well, we see Larys enjoying the view. In this conversation, Larys manipulates Alicent to believe that she needs to kill the White Worm and all of her spies. Anyway, I think Larys is going to take over the White Worm's dynasty that she's amassed of prostitutes and orphans and use it for his own gain. In the final minutes of the episode, Sir Eric or Eric, I can't remember, snatches Rhaenys from her rooms and tries to get her out of the castle in order to warn Rhaenyra of what's happening. Eric loses Rhaenys in the crowd. She slips down to go get her dragon. Backing up a little bit, in this episode, we see that Aegon is very reluctant to be king. He'd rather be partying and drinking. However, when Alicent tells him that it was his father's dying wish for him to be king, she gives him Viserys' dagger, and he starts feeling himself. He's like, maybe he didn't want me to be king, but I'm finna be a king, yo. I'm finna get this power. Anyway, so now he is crowned king. Otto is breathing a sigh of relief. He got everything done. Rhaenyra still has no idea that her father is dead. And then Rhaenys busts up through the floor with her dragon, finna blow up Alicent, her ignorant sons, and the whole Hightower clan. However, she takes a deep breath and turns away. And that is episode 9. My immediate reaction, this was a slower episode, very Hitchcockian and sort of the build up and the dark corners and the ominousness of everything. Rhaenys finally gets some of her power back. What's so important about that is she comes in on a dragon, and Aegon is a dragon rider and he's a Targaryen, but she's clearly in opposition to his claim to the throne, and that shows the House Targaryen divided just with the imagery. I also like the way they told the story of the monarchy versus the people. They hoard all of these people in. They're like, look, we're gonna put on a show. They announce that Viserys is dead and that Aegon is gonna be king instead of Rhaenyra. The crowd is like, okay, they don't care. None of this affects their lives, but you can tell that the monarchy is most important to the monarchy and the courts. The people don't ever feel any enactment other than the peace or war, and unfortunately, they are about to go into war. I thought it was interesting how in this entire episode, we get no Rhaenyra and we get no Daemon. And that sort of heightens the feeling of this being a sketchy move by Otto and by Alicent. We think Alicent is this honorable-ish person, but it's like all you're doing is telling her that you're stealing her throne. That doesn't make it any better. Listen, Viserys' last official act as king was to legitimize Rhaenyra's children as her heirs. So for his dying wish to change so drastically and to put his son on the throne, it just doesn't add up. And you can tell that Alicent is questioning this, but she refuses to think about it for too long. Otto and Alicent are going to come to blows, and Alicent is going to have to deal with the fact, in order to get what she wants, in order to maintain what she wants, she will need to be a monster. It's going to be a really interesting play next week between Otto and Alicent and Daemon and Rhaenyra. I think Alicent and Rhaenyra on some levels are going to try to uphold some fake sense of decency towards each other, maybe even because of Viserys, but Daemon and Otto are like, no. This is how you play the Game of Thrones. People have to die in order for you to maintain the Iron Throne. And all heck is going to break loose. I am so excited. Let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified of when we drop our season finale review of House of the Dragon episode 10. Thanks, guys.